USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Ah, Smart Water, now in a sleek can.
This feels cool, literally.
Perfect for social gatherings and on the go.
Should I start wearing turtlenecks?
One sip at a time, friend. Smart Water cans, for those with a taste for taste. Get yours today.
Welcome to the world of martial arts TV. It is an absolute pleasure to have you back on our channel. You've been doing exciting things in the last 12 months, so I'm going to ask you to reveal all. I think we could start at about Gladiator. Tell us a little bit about Gladiator. Remember, Gladiator to us was Russell Crowe and things like that.
Yeah.
Where have you come in on this one?
Well, in the sequel, it takes place with Lucius's son. And yeah, I mean, getting to work on a Ridley Scott movie, and Ridley Scott's probably one of the most famous directors in the world. The way he films, the way he puts stuff together, and it was on such a vast scale. I remember the first day turning up to set, and we were in Morocco, and we went to the set, and we got there, and it was an actual castle. It wasn't like, obviously nowadays there's a lot of CGI, there's a lot of green screen. This was actually, it was built, and I remember, we got out and we walked through the gates, and I think each and every one of us just looked at each other and was just like, wow, how can you not perform in this? How can you not feel like you're in the environment at the time? And the magnitude and the scale of the movie was just phenomenal, and having the opportunity to be there with stars like Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal and Paul Mescal, and and seeing them do what they do, it was just.
What's it? Can you get sort of for anybody who might get into sort of acting or the action side of it? What is it actually like when you're doing that? Is it hard work? Is it difficult? Is it the stunt work is hard? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it is hard work. I think it's hard work, mentally preparing yourself for it as well. And you I remember when I got the phone call and I had to pull the car over, for them to say Ridley had picked me to play this character in the movie. And I remember pulling the car over and having to deal with all that emotion. And then on top of the emotion of being so overwhelmed and excited, I then have to pull myself together and go, I now need to go and do this in front of hundreds of people. But I think once being in the industry, how hard it is, how tough it is, when these opportunities come along, you just grab them with both hands. You want to take this opportunity, and you want to do everything you can to make sure that people remember. And I remember saying to all the guys, because we would go through rehearsals, and I never give 100% in a rehearsal, because for me, I want to keep an element back that I can put onto screen and on the screen and kind of thing. And I knew the settings and the environment of where we were gonna do the scene, and I said to the guys, I said, I want everyone in that room to feel that this is real, that the engage. So as soon as the scene commences, the engagement from everyone in there is like, what have we just watched? This is crazy. And I remember we did the first take, and Joseph Quinn come up to me straight after it, and he was like, Jesus, he was like, that was insane. That was the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I was like, oh, amazing, you know, that's you know, the type of feedback that I wanted. And, you know, I had the essays that were there saying the same thing. And, you know, I think after take 3, Paul Maskell come up to me, he's like, this is my favourite fight. And, you know, I think we just raised that energy and that level within that scene. That's what I wanted to get, you know. So for the people out there, it is hard, you know. There's a lot of things you've got to be physically fit, you know. Ridley has, you know, 12 cameras at any one time, you know. Everything's done in a one-er, you know. There's no, you know, there's no privilege of cutting and going back to, you know. So the energy's got to be throughout, and, you know, you've got to be hitting your timing and your performance, and you just got to be there. But I remember at the end of the day when we finished the scene, and VFX took me off to get some photographs at the end, and I could hear over the radio, Ridley was like, someone was like, where's Lee? Ridley wants to see Lee. And I was like, oh God, what have I done? Because I could hear it, and I'm like standing there doing me visual effects stuff, and I was thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And I looked, and he was waiting, and I remember coming off, and I was like, is everything okay, sir? And he was like, yeah, I just want to say that was amazing. And I was like, oh, no, you know that. And he's like, honestly, that was superb. It was fantastic. Thank you.
That is,
you know,
must have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, going home that night and having to deal with that on my head, you know, like, because obviously you've got the emotions of the adrenaline at the time when you're there. And I remember going back to my room and just being on the phone to my missus and being all emotional, and like, it was like, but I think, you know, obviously our previous conversations and the way the way my life has been brought up from following Bruce Lee and the journeys and stuff, it's sort of like, I'm very grateful for where I am and what I do. I work hard for it. You know, everyone that's in the industry works, you know, unbelievably hard to get where they are. You know, and I don't think any of us ever take anything for granted. And having you know, I'm lucky to have had that experience where I've had that moment with such a high profile individual like Ridley Scott to give me that that feedback. And I think it's never all you want to do is do your best, and to have that recognition of that happening was just so unbelievable.
How long does it take in rehearsals to get such a scene like that so perfect when you know you've got 12 cameras around you?
Yeah.
And you're going to have it hit your target.
Yeah. You just constantly, I mean, you know, Paul was incredible. The Paul Maskell lead, he was like incredible. And we just rehearsed. You know,
time
yeah, so we rehearsed it like a dance, and we were doing it for the whole time that we were there, and we filmed ours at the end. So if he had breaks in between when he was doing it, you know, it'd be Lee. You know, I've got there's a video of us in the middle of the Coliseum just rehearsing, me and him, and you know, and I remember thinking, oh, this is, you know, I haven't seen Gladiator about 6 times on the cinema. But you rehearse, and I think the main thing is for me is letting the actor know that they are safe. Like, you know, first and foremost, they are completely safe with my performance and what I'm gonna do and the energies I'm gonna give and stuff like that. And then they get that comfortable moment to be able to engage with you. But yeah, it's just everything's about that rehearsal time and timing and making sure that you're on the ball.
I'm going to ask you a crazy question.
Yeah.
Because you talk Coliseum, did anything like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris come across your head?
Do you know what I said? When I went up into the rafters and I looked down, and I was just thinking, I'm just waiting for a cat. You know, I just want the cat to come back. But yeah, I mean, do you know, for me, every time I get to do what I do, them things always come flooding back. You know, I have my Bruce Lee, I have my Rocky moments, and because I used to do that when I used to fight, and I know that it's like people have go-tos for everything, but to get myself psyched up to where I need to go, I visualize things that have helped me become who I've become, and then that calms me as well. You know, it gets me ready for that moment to get in.
So Gladiator sounds amazing. I can't wait to see it myself. You're saying about something about London, Gangs of London?
Yeah, I did Gangs of London. I did that a few years ago with Jude Poirier.
Yeah. But you've done something recent.
I did Mobland, so
Mobland,
Mobland's on Paramount. I got to work with
Get
that.
us a bit of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was over doing another job over in Malta again on Mutiny with Jason Statham, which comes out later this year. And I was doing a job over there, and I was getting phone calls asking me to go in to do Mobland. They wanted me to play this like character and have a couple of sequences with Tom Hardy and stuff. And because I was away, unfortunately, I couldn't do it. But the coordinator still continues to ask me to go on, and obviously, I was quite privileged to be on set and to share. There was an episode out last week, and I got to. You sort of pinch yourself moments when your dad sends you a screenshot, and there's a picture of you with Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren and Paddy Considine and Tom Hardy, and you're like, oh, this is very strange. But I was fortunate enough to work with a great coordinator called Mark Mottram, and I did a few little bits on that, and I got to meet some more of my heroes and idols, and my girlfriend she's obsessed with Tom Hardy, so she was very happy.
I'm going to ask you a little question here in the business, because you've got the right voice for it. Has there been any talk about Peaky Blinders movie?
No. Do you know what? There's a few little things where, like, people have said that'd be perfect for them, but I think it's just having the opportunity to get in front of people. Once you get in front of the right people, and I'll keep going and keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully, before I get too old, I can pick up on a few little things.
We're not allowed to talk to you about much about it, but you were in the other mission. Were you in the Mission Impossible?
I'm in the new Mission Impossible. The trailer got released. Well, the second trailer, the final trailer, got released about 2 weeks ago, and I made the trailer. Can't say too much about obviously the film, but excuse me again. I think this is the biggest pinch me moment for me. The mum and dad's favourite movies. Tom Cruise is he's just phenomenal. So having the opportunity to have a small part in such a massive franchise is a dream come true for me. It's a pinch me moment.
Have you ever have you sort of like thinking that you need, because I know you do the bits that you do, but I foresee you doing something holding a sort of like a, because there's thousands of these movies come out now, and some of them are good, some of them are dreadful. Have you ever thought of something where somebody's asked you to be a movie yourself, where it's you and something big? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if the opportunity ever arises, it's funny because obviously you build up a little fan base of people that follow you, and downstairs before there was quite a few people saying you deserve your own movie and stuff, and you know what, I'm just happy to work. If them opportunities arise and I get the opportunity to do them things. Then
I just feel that you've got that. I'm gonna put you on a pedestal here, so you're gonna be upset, but usually when they do a movie and it's successful, or a TV series successful, and then they do, oh well, we'll get so and he can do something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think they should be thinking of you as sort of like a Jack Reacher? You've got the look.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, as I say, them opportunities ever arise, I'd grab it with both hands. And I think the dream for us all is to have that moment where you see yourself as the star, and do you know what? It's not even a vanity thing.
No.
Like it's a work thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my social media is heavily based on the stuff that I do, and it's training and stuff like that, and and it like I found when I used to do it, like I was thinking, oh, is this too vain? But the amount of messages I get from people that follow me, and they're like, this is inspiring, and you're inspiring me, and then I meet people and they say the same thing, and I thought, it's not about this self gratification and me putting myself forward. It's the work, and the work that I do, whether it's my training or whether it's the film stuff. If I can inspire a kid or an adult, or you can have that effect on someone. I think it's that, and I love working. I love it. It's a great job.
You've done your Mission Impossible. Have you got anything else you can say that you're looking forward to doing soon, or
Yeah,
you can talk about?
Yeah, I've got a few. Obviously, I've got Mutiny coming out with Jason Statham.
Could you give us what's that called?
Mutiny. So
Mutiny.
yeah, it's towards the end of the year. I've just had Working Man out with Jason in the cinema. I have a little scene with Jason and that. I've been quite fortunate enough to do quite a few movies with me, and I get on with him.
Have you met Jason before? Have you worked?
I worked with him on Expendables, Beekeeper, and then I got brought on to Legend Straight, which is called now Working Man. It's on the cinema, and I'm grateful and fortunate enough to have built up a little bit of a friendship with him, and a great guy, great guy, great performer. Like, I love his films. I love that whole 80s, 90s feeling to his movies. And
I want to ask you a question here. It's because he started with Lock, Stock, didn't he, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was just sort of like, bit of the Jack the Lad in there. And then suddenly when we saw him in Transporter, he suddenly became nearly at the level of some of the big Chinese stars, Jet Li and stuff like that. And I mean, now for an action star, I watch him and I know people absolutely adore. He's nearly up there with the big martial arts stars, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's created his own brand, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's created his own brand. He's created his own purpose as to what he wants to give his audience. I think action movies become too serious.
Yeah.
So there was a time period where they lost the sense of being a movie and being an action movie.
Yeah.
And these movies that we grew up watching in the 80s and the 90s, that was lost. It was gone, and everything was like really serious, and the action had to be really like serious action, and there was no fun anymore. There was no killing 40, 50, 60 guys, and doing stuff where you go, well, that couldn't happen, and they were like, but we weren't bothered it couldn't happen because it's a movie. Whereas Jason's rebranded has got this brand within himself where, he's phenomenal, and it works so hard. He was a high level high diver. He got to work with I think it was Korean that did the transports. He did when you get to work with these people and these individuals and stuff, and then that you're able to put yourself in that position and be able to do that. But they're the movies I grew up on, and I think we need them movies. We need, and everything that's going on in the world. We got Cynthia downstairs, you got the Reed brothers coming, you got Bill downstairs. They're the movies that we grew up watching.
Yeah.
We're here today at this show because, they were the forefront of what brought us to our youth and our growing up. And and I think Jason has got, he's a big A-list star that is able to create his own brand of movies and the way his movies are out, and he's phenomenal at what he does, so he's great. Fantastic.
Thank you for your time. We're going to ask you a little favour though.
Yeah.
If you ever get down on these movies and you want us to do a screen to whatever, whatever, we'd love to come and meet you on set.
On set, yeah.
We'd love to meet you at an on-set interview. Okay. That would be amazing.
No problem.
Because I love films. Lee, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.